The Boston Bruins' home winning streak came to an end last night, and they absolutely have to find their game on the road, or else their current playoff spot is going to disappear.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast, a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Ian McLaren. I am a lifelong Boston Bruins fan, and I've been covering this team and the NHL for various outlets for nearly 20 years. On today's episode, we are going to discuss last night's loss to the San Jose Sharks, one that ended Boston's home winning streak that lasted 13 games. They're now going to hit the road for 3 straight, and they have really struggled away from TD Garden this season. If they're not careful, they're going to see their current playoff spot slip away. We'll discuss the storylines, the stats, and the signals, as well as preview Saturday's game against the Washington Capitals. The Bruins had their chances last night. They outshot San Jose 41-28. Alex Nedeljkovic came up pretty big. Nikita Zadorov said he was the best player on the ice last night for either team. And the Sharks were able to capitalize on their chances, and the Bruins did not. That was the difference in Zadorov's view, and that's pretty accurate. The Bruins did have some chances. They outshot the Sharks by a pretty wide margin early on, but just could not beat Nedeljkovic, while the young, speedy, very talented San Jose Sharks were able to capitalize on their opportunities past Jeremy Swayman, which included a beautiful play between second overall pick Michael Misa and William Eklund in the first. They got a very lucky bounce off of a Tyler Toffoli goal where a Macklin Celebrini shot was stopped initially, and then it bounced off the Shark on Toffoli's jersey into the back of the net. Scoreless in the second, and the Bruins had a power play to begin the third, but unfortunately, Colin Graff, who I pinpointed yesterday as a potential X factor for the Sharks, scored a shorthanded goal to make it 3-0, and then the absolute dagger came from William Eklund, who sped into the zone, just completely sidestepped Andrew Peeke and was able to bat the puck out of midair to the opposite top shelf past Jeremy Swayman to make it 4-0. The Bruins did add some garbage time goals from Fraser Minton, David Pastrnak, but it was too little, too late for the Boston Bruins, who fell 4-2, saw their home winning streak end, and now have to go on the road where they've been a completely different team so far this season, and with their playoff spot very tenuous at the moment. Marco Sturm said, they were looking for that one goal to start the game, get some momentum, try to build on it. It didn't happen for, he said, maybe too long. I would say for way too long. He said things just seemed a little bit off. The Bruins weren't as sharp, and the Sharks took advantage. They did have chances early on. They just could not score, and that was the hockey game. Fraser Minton, who scored one goal and who was shuffled around a bit in an attempt to get the offense going, he said afterwards that it was nice to have one go in, but it would have been better if it contributed to a win. Little low energy, a little sleepy, he said. Not the Bruins' worst game of the season. And admittedly, the Sharks have the talent over there. If you're giving them 2-on-1s, if you're giving them breakaways, if you're not clearing the crease and giving them tap-ins on the power play, they're going to put it in. Few too many mistakes that the Sharks were able to score on, and the Bruins weren't able to catch up. David Pastrnak did score his 24th goal of the season, extended his point streak to 4 games, 2 goals, 4 assists over that stretch, but it was not enough for the Bruins. And they now head out on a 3-game road trip, during which they will face the Washington Capitals, the New Jersey Devils, and the Montreal Canadiens. Elias Lindholm said there's a lot of belief in this group still. They have some really good pieces, he thinks, some great guys, been playing some pretty good hockey all year, just have to keep doing it on the road. Very unfortunate that the Bruins weren't able to pick up even 1 point here before heading out on the road, as they have been, again, pretty poor. We'll talk about that more coming up here on the podcast. The Bruins did have, a good amount of possession in this one, probably deserved a better fate. At 5-on-5, they had 63% of the shot attempts. They had 57% of the shots, 53% of the scoring chances. High danger chances were even, as were the expected goals. And in all situations, it tilted even further in favor of the Bruins. They had 63% of the attempts, 60% of the shots, 55% of the scoring chances, 53% of the high danger chances, and expected goals were 3.5 to 3.2 in favor of the Bruins. So by pretty much all the metrics, they should have come out with at least a point last night. Full credit to Alex Nedeljkovic, who has bounced around a little bit after being a Rookie of the Year candidate back in the day with the Carolina Hurricanes. He played some very good hockey, and the Sharks, it's a testament to their team, a testament to the depth that they have, like offensively, the skill that they have. Could you imagine if they had been able to draft Matthew Schaefer first overall instead of having to settle for Michael Misa with the second overall pick, the guy who scored the opening goal last night? Just an unbelievable group they have there. Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith. Like, they weren't even the guys who were featured last night. It was Eklund and Colin Graff, Misa, who did the most damage. And the Bruins have now allowed 8 shorthanded goals this season, which is not great at all. A cool wrinkle for last night's game, the Sharks signed Kyle Chauvette to an amateur tryout to serve as the emergency backup. He was on the bench in place of Yaroslav Askarov, who tweaked a lower body injury during the morning skate and was not available. Chauvette is a senior at the University of New Hampshire and learned of the news right after he had completed an economics exam, which is pretty cool. He did not get in, but he was on the bench, out on the ice for warm-ups. So a pretty cool moment there for the UNH senior. The Sharks, again, the big story, they were just able to take advantage of their opportunities. Eklund was actually a game-time decision due to a lower body injury prior to this one, but you would not have seen it at all because he had that goal of the year candidate, set up Misa's goal, and Nedeljkovic, who in the end was the difference, said he felt like he was seeing the puck good. Things were pretty clear. The Sharks did a good job of clearing rebounds in front of him, and the Sharks pretty solid in their own end. For the Bruins, as Elias Lindholm said, he thought they played good hockey, created enough to win, but their goalie did a good job. The Bruins could have done a little better job going to the hard areas, providing screens for each other, but they deserved to score some more goals. Sharks had the puck luck, the Bruins did not, and just looked kind of out of sync all night long. You can't allow 4 goals and expect to win even at home. They were able to make it interesting down the stretch with a couple goals, but certainly not enough. And I don't know if things need to be shaken up a bit. Maybe you need to put Fraser Minton up on the first line to help spark David Pastrnak with Marat Husnudinov. Elias Lindholm not looking particularly sharp as of late. We know he was injured prior to the Olympics, played there, but they could use a bit more out of him if they are going to hold on to their playoff spot, which is a little tenuous right now because of last night's results. We'll take a look more at the signals from last night's game here as the podcast continues. College basketball is nonstop this time of year with big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. At FanDuel, you can play your game. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. And thank you for helping make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. As a special thank you, we're inviting you to join our Everydayer Club free for the first month by using code MARCH. What is the Everydayer Club? Well, you get access to ad-free audio feed of the podcast, plus our group chat on Discord, which includes a Locked On Bruins channel, any team out there, as well as all the leagues, fantasy hockey. It's so much fun in there. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into the Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a lot of fun. Check out lockedonbruins.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, so where do the Bruins stand here with relation to a playoff spot after last night's game? Well, they're still in a playoff spot, but their hold on it is pretty tenuous as the Columbus Blue Jackets moved to within 1 point of our Boston Bruins. The Bruins now have 78 points with 17 games remaining, and they are at 600 in terms of point percentage, which is slightly better than Columbus at 592. Now, the thing you need to know, though, is that the Detroit Red Wings are falling back pretty quickly here. They've lost 2 games in a row, and they're going to be without Dylan Larkin for a couple of weeks. So that gives the Bruins an opportunity to overtake them for the first wildcard spot and still be able to make the playoffs, even if Columbus is able to squeak in. According to Money Puck, the Bruins currently have a 62.3% chance of making the playoffs. The Ottawa Senators, because they lost their last game to the Montreal Canadiens, they're down at 45.1%. In the Eastern Conference, they have Tampa at 99.1%, the Sabres at 99%, the Canadiens at 93.6%. So that's your top 3 teams in the Atlantic. Then the Carolina Hurricanes at 99.9%. So that's first in the Metro. The Islanders, Penguins at 77.6%, and the Penguins at 71.2%. So it's really looking to come down to the Red Wings, the Blue Jackets, and the Bruins, with Ottawa having still an outside shot of making up the 5-point difference between themselves and the Bruins. And the Senators do have a game in hand. According to Money Puck, the best odds are on Detroit and Columbus. The game last night really did a lot to tilt things away from Boston's favor, right? And if you look at the Athletic playoff odds, which we compare to Money Puck because they are generally harsher on the Bruins because of their underlying numbers. The Bruins haven't been a very strong defensive team this season, or allowing many more shot attempts, shots on goal, scoring chances, high danger chances. The Bruins right now are at 31% when it comes to making the playoffs. They have the Athletic has the Senators at 48%, the Penguins at 65, the Islanders at 70, the Blue Jackets at 77, and the Red Wings at 74. They have the Bruins finishing with around 92.7 points, so 93 points, which would mean they would pick up 15 over their last 17 games, which would be below 500. And there's reason to believe that because the Bruins play the majority of their remaining games on the road, where they have not been good so far this season. They have a record of 11, 14, and 5 away from home, which is by far the worst out of any of the prospective playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. In fact, it's tied for fewest wins in the Eastern Conference away from home with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are 11, 16, and 4. Even the New York Rangers, bottom team in the East, they've got 18 wins away from home. They've been sunk by their poor home record. They're only 9, 15, and 6 at home for some reason. The Devils have 16 wins away from home. The Panthers 15 and 15. The Bruins away record is potentially the reason why they may miss the playoffs. Even over in the Western Conference, the Flames 10, 20, and 3 away from home, barely worse than the Bruins. The Jets 11, 15, and 5. There's only 2 teams in the NHL with fewer road wins than the Boston Bruins this season, and that is the Calgary Flames. Actually, there's only one team with fewer road wins than the Bruins. That is the Calgary Flames. And the Bruins have a very road-heavy schedule down the stretch. Like I said, it starts tomorrow in Washington, then they go to New Jersey and Montreal. They have to go to Detroit next Saturday to take on the Red Wings. They have to go to Buffalo, who's basically a wagon right now. They go to Columbus twice. They have to go to Florida to take on the Panthers and the Lightning, and go to Carolina, who's one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, and they have to take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Only, 6 games remaining on the home schedule, and they have to play 11 road games out of the next 17. So that could be a real problem for this team if they don't figure out how to win on the road. Like, they have to go at least 500 over these next 3 games. So getting at least 3 points in the next 3 games. Ideally, you're getting 4, 5, 6, but at least, like, they can't afford to lose 2 of these games, basically, or at least not in regulation. Their hold on a playoff spot, pretty tenuous, and that road struggle is a serious problem for this team. Again, you look league-wide, away records, only the Calgary Flames have fewer road wins than the Boston Bruins, and no team in a playoff spot right now has a losing record on the road, except for the Boston Bruins. Well, not 100% true. You look over that's in the Eastern Conference anyways. In the West, the Ducks have a losing record on the road. They're at 14, 16, and 2. The Sharks are 14, 16, and 1. They're not a particularly strong road team either, but you wouldn't have known it based on the way they played last night against the Boston Bruins. The Bruins have to take advantage of some of these teams that are outside the playoff race, like a Washington Capitals team that they just beat last Saturday, New Jersey Devils team that has not met expectations this season. And coming up here, we'll preview tomorrow's game against the Washington Capitals and see what the Bruins are up against. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to hire is still open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidates stumble across your post. In the minute we've been talking, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. If you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Boston Bruins. If you need to hire, it's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Go to Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. The Bruins are hitting the road, and it's going to be a very interesting Saturday around the NHL. 14 games on the schedule, and the Bruins will be taking on the Washington Capitals. The Capitals actually are coming off a win over the Buffalo Sabres last night, if you can believe it. The Sabres finally experiencing some adversity here after what's otherwise been a pretty gradual and steady rise to the top of the Atlantic Division. So the Capitals, they're not just lying down and accepting their fate as a non-playoff team. This is a squad that is going to be looking to be somewhat disruptive in the Eastern Conference standings. Now, the Bruins and Capitals, they'll be meeting for the third and final time so far this season, and the Bruins have won each of the first two meetings between these two teams by a score of 3-1, combined score of 6-2, with the previous win coming just a few days ago, back on March 7th. The Capitals are 5-5 over their past 10 games, coming off that win over the Sabres, which is pretty impressive. The Bruins only 4-3-3 over their past 10, and have won 4 out of 8 since the Olympic break. So kind of uneven play. And one of those wins came in overtime. One of the losses came in overtime as well to the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Capitals are actually led in scoring over their past 5 games by Ryan Leonard. You talk about a potential James Higgins bump. Obviously, Leonard is a year ahead of him in his development, but he's got 5 points, including 4 goals in his past 5 games. The Bruins are led in scoring by David Pastrnak, who's got 2 goals, 4 assists in his past, 4 games, currently on this point streak. In net for the Capitals, you've got Logan Thompson, who's got a .911 save percentage so far this season, backed up by Charlie Lindgren, who's at .886. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Bruins do for tomorrow's game. Jeremy Swayman has played a couple in a row here, and he's being leaned on a bit more heavily. He played in that game against the Washington Capitals that they just won with a .957 save percentage in that one. Came back in the win over the Kings, a .938 save percentage. Last night, he allowed 4 goals on 28 shots for an .857 save percentage. Do they go back to Swayman for the 3rd game in a row? Or do they go with Jonas Korpisalo and save Swayman for the next game against the Devils, or give him a bit of rest? Now, the problem with that, and it's something the Bruins came up against a week or two ago, is that Korpisalo started games against the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins on the road. and he had not great performances in either of those. He lost in overtime. Oh, no, they won in overtime against the Penguins, but then they lost. Oh, sorry, they lost in overtime to the Penguins and then lost 6-3 to the Nashville Predators. So the question is, do you give Swayman 3 straight starts here and set him up to play 2 of these road games, like Washington, give him a couple days rest, give Korpisalo the start against the Devils, and then go back to Swayman for the Canadiens? Or, since Swayman has started a couple games in a row, are they going to go to Korpisalo and have him start against the Capitals? Then Swayman goes in against the Devils, and then Korpisalo against the Canadiens? Or do you go Korpisalo 2 in a row and then give Swayman the start against the Canadiens? My preference would obviously be to give Swayman the net against the Capitals and the Canadiens, save Korpisalo for the Devils game, which should be the easiest of the 3. But it's kind of cloudy at the moment because we don't know if they're going to give Swayman that 3rd straight start, or if they're going to think, oh, Korpisalo has had a rough couple games, but he's been capable lately and pretty good before the Olympic break, so let's go and give him the start. I would not like that at all. I don't want to see Korpisalo having 2 of these 3 road starts when he's lost a couple on the road in a row, and Swayman is your number 1 guy. The Bruins power play slipping a bit. They're only at 7th now, 24.6% success rate. The Capitals, terrible power play. Theirs is 27th. The Bruins penalty kill, 23rd in the NHL, but that's risen as of late. They've been one of the better penalty killing teams since the Olympics. And the Capitals are 17th on the penalty kill. Capitals are 16th in terms of goals for per game, 3.12. Bruins 11th at 3.29. They're better defensively, though. The Capitals, 2.91 goals allowed per game, which is 10th in the NHL. The Bruins are 19th at 3.11. Capitals led in scoring by Alex Ovechkin, 51 points in 67 games. You got Dylan Strome, Tom Wilson, Alexi Protas, Ryan Leonard, Connor McMichael, all to keep an eye on. And then, of course, Jacob Chychrun, he's also got 51 points from the blue line for the Capitals. Someone you always have to keep an eye on from the back end. Pasternak's up to 78 points in 60 games, 24 goals, 54 assists. Morgan Geekie, 34 goals, 23 assists for 57 points. Pavel Zacha only a couple goals away from tying his career high. Need a bit more out of Elias Lindholm here down the stretch. He's pointless in his past 3 games, and the Bruins just need more out of their supposed top-line center if they're going to hold on to this playoff spot. Be back later today with the bonus episode to bring you any latest breaking news for the Bruins or any roster lineup updates. Be sure to be following on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube so that you never miss an episode. Follow along at Locked NHL Bruins on socials for all the extra bonus content. And please do consider joining the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes, an invite to our Everydayer Club, Discord channel. We're continuing the chat over there. Head to lockedonbruins.supercast.com to join the club. If you're on video, check out the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. Also, check out the NHL Game Night podcast in the Locked On NHL feed. It is all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Please do take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you again here on the next episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, your favorite team every single day.